The Turbo GrafX 16 is a console that I have yet to cover on the show, and that's a shame because this console is one of my favorites. So for this episode of the Big Retro Show, I'm going to be talking about some horror titles you can play on the system just in time for Halloween. We kick things off with a banger of a game in Rondo of Blood. What is a rondo? It's a musical form that alternates between contrasting themes, and this game takes its music quite seriously. More on that later. If you've played any of the old school Castlevanias, you will know what's in store for you. I actually have never played this version of the game. I played the SNES version, which is inferior. This TurboGrafx CD game was never released in the US, but this is a way to play it. Sadly, all we got in the States was Dracula X. This is a side-scrolling, horror-themed 16-bit action-adventure game in which you take on the role of the famous vampire hunter, Richter Belmont. Don't ask me who the F this Richter guy is, though. I stopped keeping track of the Belmonts in Castlevania 3 with Trevor. Anyways, you have to rescue your girl from Dracula and thus embark on an adventure. The enemies in this game are familiar, from the skeleton dudes to the armor-plated dudes, the dead skeleton dinosaur dudes, and well, you get the idea. I won't go over all of the enemies in this game because everyone has played a Castlevania game. The enemies in this game are really fun to fight and quite challenging. What I like about this game is that it offers alternate paths during certain parts of the levels, and it just makes it fun to choose which way you want to beat the stage. The other cool thing about this game is its graphics and music especially. I could really feel the bass while playing this game linked up to my sound setup. It was awesome. The music is quite orchestral and reminds me a lot of the music they use in the excellent Symphony of the Night. If you are a fan of action-adventure side-scrolling games, this game is for you and is a must-play on the TurboGrafx 16. If you have beaten Rondo of Blood and want to play something similar, but that doesn't take itself too seriously, give Night Creatures a try. This game is a side-scrolling, horror-inspired action-adventure game for the good old TurboGrafx 16, and a good game to play for Halloween. You play as a dude who gets bitten by a bat, which gives him a wicked curse. It turns out that the bat was the Queen of Darkness. You must hunt her down and kill her to get rid of your curse. Now, it's a bit easy to dismiss this game as a jank Castlevania wannabe, but it does have its charms. The game sort of reminds me of the way that Castlevania 2 was designed, in which you will be doing some backtracking, item collecting, and fighting a variety of classic movie monsters. This is a good thing because the game is certainly not linear, and I kinda love the way that Castlevania 2 played. You start your adventure armed with only your fist, but quickly find an axe that lets you do more damage, and then you quickly realize that the game has a variety of weapons, and you will need all of them if you are going to destroy Hecate. The game's combat can be challenging, especially since your enemies tend to swarm you and do a lot of damage. Timing is the key with this game, and crouching. You will be doing a lot of that to avoid most attacks. Throughout your playthrough, you will encounter a variety of comically easy bosses. Once you beat them, you will be granted the power to transform to a variety of animals. There is a wolf, bear, badger, and owl. The kicker with this is that when you are in animal form, your life bar slowly drains. It's jank. I really never transformed into the animals unless I needed to access a different area. At any rate, it's a cool mechanic that was executed poorly. Still, there's something charming about the game's atmosphere. This dude basically insults you, but at the same time gives you items every time you're in town. It's funny. I still can't get over how easy the boss fights are, but again, you have to have the right weapon to defeat them. Most of them go down in one hit. The game's platforming is really quite janky as well. Just climbing up and down the stairs is a chore. The way that you select your animal forms and your weapons is also cumbersome in that you have to press pause, select the animal, weapon, or tool, push the button again, and then unpause. This game would have benefited from a hotkey. While this game is a jankier version of Castlevania, it's still one of the only horror games on the good old TurboGrafx 16, and fun to play if you are just looking for some hack and slash action. Samurai Ghost is one of these games that requires a lot of patience and memorization, but if you are good at both, then you will have a good time with this game. Staying in line with the side-scrolling hack and slashes, Samurai Ghost places you in the role of a dead warrior, Keiichiyo, and it's your job to stop the evil shogun Yorimoto, who basically survived death and hastened to the underworld to command the legions of dead. Yep, I know what you're thinking. I don't care. Let's get on with the carnage. And I agree. But the question is, will the carnage befall upon you or on your enemies? Your warrior is this crazy looking samurai dude who wields this great sword. I'm not gonna lie, He moves and swings the sword rather clunkily. You may attack upwards, do a straight on attack, or do a crouching attack. You can also do a jump attack and a downward stab if you jump and push down while you're attacking. It's pretty simple. The timing in this game is key though, and you will have to do your slashes at the right moment and in the right position. It takes some getting used to, but you do have unlimited continues, so you really have no excuse. As I mentioned before, this game champions memorization, as the enemies all have their attack patterns and you must learn them if you are going to survive the onslaught. So this game is rooted in Japanese horror, so you won't find any dudes with ski masks or with claws. For those of us who are Westerners, it will take getting used to. It wasn't a big deal for me though. Luckily, the stages are short and you will not have too difficult of a time running through the levels, beating the mid-level bosses, and then the main boss of each stage. The bosses, in fact, aren't too difficult at all, once you learn their patterns, of course. It is fun to learn those patterns and take them out, but again, it's the memorization thing again. The game's graphics and sounds are classic Turbo GrafX 16 goodness in all of its 16-bit glory. It's good stuff. Since there is a lack of horror games on the Turbo GrafX 16, you kinda, sort of, must play this game to get your fix. It's not bad, it's just not the best. And now for something truly terrifying. It's not because Ghost Manor is a good game, oh no. It's because it's comically bad. So bad it's scary to think it exists. This is a game that you simply have to play at least once in your gaming life just to say you played it. In Ghost Manor, you play as this dude named Arthur, and you embark on a quest to save your town from this dude named Anorath and his army of minions. You must travel to his manor and take him out. This game is a side-scrolling action platformer, and I say that loosely. It's sort of a mess of a program that lacks the fun of any of the genres, and well, the only reason that I included it in this episode is because the Turbo GrafX 16 is lacking in the horror department. Where to begin with the problems with this game? Your character is this dude who controls rather horribly. He jumps really high, but for some reason, if you are not in motion, you face the camera. Meaning, if you are traveling right, stop for a little bit, and want to fire at the enemy coming in your direction, you must press right again and throw an orb at him. Which leads me to the game's next problem. You fight off enemies in this game by throwing orbs at them. The problem with that is that the ammo is extremely limited, and finding ammo in the levels can be quite the challenge. There were many times where I had to die because I ran out of ammo and the game respawns you with 3 of the 5 orbs you get to carry. Needless to say, it was frustrating. The other frustrating aspect of this game is the platforming. To put it mildly, it makes no sense. For example, you must get to the top of this level by riding these demon hands? But before you get them, you must find the key by taking out this fat dude in the corner. Then you have this bat-like thing attacking you, and once you take it out, it splits into 2 smaller bats that don't harm you. But they are annoying because they follow you everywhere. The game really doesn't have any bosses. You just enter the stage, find the key and find the exit, and move on to the next area. It's a bit boring. I can't say anything good about this game other than it's scary for all the wrong reasons. I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about the music. Oh man, the music. It's repetitive and has no artistic value whatsoever. It will make you want to bash your head in. It just loops over and over and over again. Make it stop! Luckily, you can turn it off before you take on this manor. But again, if you want to have something interesting to say at the next NerdCon, then play this game and wow your friends. Devil's Crush is one of these games that you can easily log several hours into and have it not feel as if you were on the game a while. That's the beauty of pinball, and this game doesn't disappoint. Sure, the basics of a real pinball machine have seemed to miss this game, but it's still fun. Part of the reason is because of the playfield. It's 3 levels and there's a lot going on each tier. I think my favorite is this mid tier where you get to hit this woman's face and have things attack you. My second favorite is probably the 3rd tier where you get to take out these druid looking dudes for some sweet bonuses. The other reason this game is awesome is because of the music. It really gets you into the theme of the whole table, and the sounds go a long way in letting you know that you are fighting demons. Demon's Crush is one of 2 epic pinball games on the Turbo GrafX 16, the other being Alien Crush, and people like to say that the latter is a better game, but I think that Demon's Crush holds its own. Sure, this isn't a traditional action-adventure game where you're taking out waves of zombies and vampires and such, but it's still fun to play and one of these games on the Turbo GrafX 16 that is close to the horror genre. Finally, we go from bad to great in Splatterhouse. Of course, you all knew this one had to be on the list. Splatterhouse is probably one of the best horror games, if not the best game on the Turbo GrafX. The characters, gore, music, and weapons made this game an instant classic back in the day. You play as this masked, buff dude named Rick, who must rescue his girl. She's kidnapped and you have to take out waves of monsters to rescue her. I remember playing this game back in the day, and one of my favorite parts, hands down, was using this 2x4. I used to pretend I was playing as Hacksaw Jim Duggan. At its core, this is a side-scrolling hack-and-slash game with copious amounts of blood, gore, and fright. It's a type of game that everyone on the schoolyard would talk about and set the TurboGrafx 16 apart from the Genesis and the SNES. The levels in this game each have their own unique spin, and the bosses, including this one which we get to fight a room that's being haunted by a poltergeist, are a lot of fun to fight. The enemies in this game mostly all go down with a couple of hits from your fists or your feet. The game's best aspect though are its weapons, like this shotgun over here. I can't remember ever using a shotgun in a 16-bit game with such vicious results before playing Splatterhouse. This game's music, sounds, and visuals made this game epic and really helped sell the TurboGrafx 16. I know not a lot of you guys picked one of these machines up back in the day, but I did. I had all three, the Genesis, the SNES, and the TurboGrafx 16, and this one was one of my favorites, thanks to Splatterhouse. This game is perfect for anyone who wants a horror vibe on the TurboGrafx 16. And that's going to be it for the Big Retro Show. If you played any of these games, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you next time on the Big Retro Show.